The second year we started what we call strategic innovation. This is hikmah on this level. You got to remember. You know, they got championship rounds. You know, they used to be from the 12th round to the 15th round. Now they just got rid of the 15th round. But if you had a fighter like George Foreman, that was such a heavy puncher and he was brutal. The way he beat George, not George, the guy he hit him and turned him around, Smoking Joe. I've never seen nothing. I said, good God Almighty. I said, man, that was but I did ask a question, because I was living in Venezuela at the time, and I asked, it was a sister, she used to handle a lot of our business at that time. So she was from Oakland too, so was all George Foreman and all the trainers. So she came back through Jamaica. They had to fight in Jamaica. So she said, I asked her, well, what was George doing? She said, George had a big iron wheelbarrow full of sand, and he was out on the beach, you know, with a big old heavy coat on. He pushing that wheelbarrow and stuff like that. I said, what was Joe doing? She said, I went to see Joe. He had a straw hat on and a ukulele. He was singing. He was. Joe, Smoking Joe, that was what his name. He was singing. I said, oh, what's the name in trouble now? But George Foreman was so bad, he was just destroying people. Muhammad Ali, remember Muhammad Ali and Jack Johnson? We used their style. Why? Because George Foreman beat people so bad, he took them out in a few rounds. He never had to go any rounds, right? He'd take you out in the first round, third round, fifth round, unbelievable. He wasn't going no farther than that. So Muhammad Ali kept him around to the third round, fourth round, fifth round, and in the eighth round, he took him out. Why? Because he ain't never been that far. And you could see him he was just hitting Muhammad Ali. He was just like a washer lady. He just wasn't doing that. Right? Simple. We've taken Boss Man up in championship rounds. He's never been here before. Psychological guerrilla warfare worked. All of the stuff we did worked. Everyone that was monitoring us is exposed, is self-exposure. Everybody is from observation, is in their place. And there's no, you can say, well, I saw him something. And it ain't no big deal, right? It ain't no big deal, it ain't no problem. But through observation and sticking around a long time, you taking Boss Man, we taking him beyond where he's ever been before, for a movement. And what's good about it? Boss Man championship days is over. They might as well go get Jim Jeffries. Right? Everybody knows championship. We getting Boss Man when he needed to be. Yeah. They say niggas can't think. That's too bad for them. They can say what they want. They say niggas can't plan. They got it wrong. What we're telling right now is we've been thinking about this all along. And we've been weighing and measuring. We know that the game that we had wouldn't take us all the way. Let me try to do it with this ayat al-Quran. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. La tarkabuna tabakan and tabakin. You shall surely travel from stage to stage. Stage to stage. Okay, now Sayyid Qutb writes this. You shall certainly ride stage after stage. This is to say, you will pass from one stage of suffering to another, to what has been predestined for you. The Quran uses the term ride to denote the ongoing of various stages of suffering. Ride is frequently used in Arabic to signify the passage through risk and difficulty. This usage suggests that difficulties and risks are like horses or mules to be ridden. Each one will take the rider to the stage predestined for it and for them. Now, just listen to what I'm saying. I'm saying in this life, you on a ride, you catch a bus out here, you're going to California, the bus here don't take you to California. But you can take it down to the station, to the bus station, right? Or somewhere close to it, take another, and then you get and then you can get a bus that'll take you stage to stage to California. The level of sophistication that you're on in life takes you up to a certain level. You have to be specially trained or aware to realize that the vehicle you're on right now, your level of knowledge, will not take you to where you really want to go. You see what I'm saying? Okay, in the black days, the Negroes didn't know that. We get rid of the white man, we're just gonna... He just didn't realize. We have to watch that. So, where we are right now, we had to observe. We had to be patient. We had to study. And we had to realize that the knowledge that we had during these times was good. But we had to evolve. That's why we use similar words, but the vocabulary is different. So the stages of growth in the Islamic movement, that means you're not all the way there. Brother Tufayl and I used to always talk about, is this the last phase, the one we're in now? Is this the last phase or the second to the last? I said, we have to teach, because we was both asking that question. So what we say now is we have to treat each stage like it's the final stage. Because we don't know whether it's going to get us all the way, but to influence the rate of change, to influence the direction of change in America, and then hopefully the world, and to influence it with Islam, we have to evolve. The last stage, the transition stage that we went through, was a stage, right, of transition that we have to evolve. We're here right now. Okay. If we will agree that we can anticipate what Boss Man going to do on a right? I mean, this is semi-accurate, right? I mean, if we were to say that we can anticipate where Boss Man is going. We talk about it here all the time. In fact, we go over things that we might have said last week. We said, look what Boss Man talked. So it has to have some truth to it. Not only that, but methodology and process. Before, we allowed people like Chairman Mao Zedong, the dear leader, Imam Khomeini, all of those people. We gave them, even Dr. Khalil Siddiqui, but we gave them the credit right, to, that they can do it. Maybe they're just a little lighter than we want, something. But we gave them that ability. But we studied them in detail. But the job that has to be done now is beyond. If you look at what's going on in Iran and the Iranians, we know all of the brothers there. We know them very well. They're doing a wonderful job, but they're making certain mistakes, critical mistakes. But because they gave so many martyrs and what have you, then Allah is covering their mistakes. Because some of their mistakes that they're making, if anybody else made them, all right. So, don't leave out Allah's protection on us too. You know, all this blabbermouth stuff about we did this, we did that, we know it's Allah. But Allah give us 1% of the ability to realize, as Sayyid Qutb would say, you shall certainly ride stage after stage. The ability to know that the ride that you're on, the tools that you're using, the specific game that you have acquired, the technology you've acquired, will not get you all the way. Means that you have to have the ability to pull back. You see what I mean? And observe and study until you acquire what? The level of knowledge, the level of training that will take you all the way. Okay. So I don't want to bore y'all. I know that little turkey down there. Evolution. This thing about our picture of ourselves, our picture of how we fit into this. Brother Tufayl, Imam Tufayl, and I talked about this stuff all the time. That's why we're calling it the Imam Tufayl Strategic Command Center. Sharing with him. So what we're hoping is that if we pull this off right, for him it's Sadaqah Jariyah. He didn't already put in this stuff, right? Yeah. We continuing on, so he getting the, you know, so it makes us want to really do a good job. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, it's just, it's Sadaqah Jariyah. You know, it keeps on. You write a book, suppose you give a lecture, all of that stuff means that people that benefit on it. If you plant a tree and people benefit from the fruit of it. Okay. Those who show the way, I think that's the level we're on, instead of those who lead the way. Those who show the way. As-Sabiqun, those who show the way would be the people who exist in the environment, face all the challenges that the environment has to offer, and pass through those. But not pass through it in a traumatic way, in an evil way, are you mad, are you paranoid? But pass through it with ease. And it's visibly easy. So people see, I was scared of boss man, and that nigga ain't no better than me. Them niggas ain't no better than me. Right? So they sitting in their little hustle. Them niggas can do it. We can do it. Them As-Sabiqun niggas over there. Hey man, if they can do it, right? That's the way people think. We can do it. So if you say I'm gonna lead the way, what they gonna do? Nigga, you ain't lead me nowhere. I ain't going. Wherever you want to go, I ain't going. I'm going the other way. That's if you want to lead the way. But if you want to show the way, it's different. So we have to use some hikmah. You know, the true translation of the word hikmah is not just wisdom. It's the ability to put things in proper order. Yeah, okay. So now I'm going to speed up. So First stage, make this stuff operational. Second year, strategic innovation. Actually, we're doing strategic innovation now. Strategic innovation means that we are innovating and using all the things in our environment for good. Remember our process. The Quran, the Sunnah, traveling the earth and see what there was the end of those before, history, and then our own experience. You got to remember, we learned from one thing for sure. In 1996, our greatest leader at that time, Dr. Kaleem Siddiqui, he had heart trouble. We was in South America. He gave a lecture, and it was clear that, that he was saying Imam Musa is the guy you guys should follow. Not only that, when we went to the airport in Johannesburg, Sister Bahia and I was coming back, he got in the car and he went even further and further. And he went in detail, Dr. Kaleem Siddiqui in 96. Okay, everybody there knew that. There was thousands of people from all over South Africa there. And they all heard it. And they knew what it meant too. But I'm not a crybaby. But if you black, you get back. Example, the richest family in South Africa. We was in Cape Town. Cape Town has about 750,000 Muslims. Cape Town is revolutionary. All the revolutionary stuff you hear coming out of South Africa comes from Cape Town, mostly. Because Cape Town has colors, Malays, and all of those people are mostly Muslims. It has millions of people, but there's 700,000 Masamanas, more or less. And one of the groups there was a Paget. Paget, I don't think you ever seen it in the newspaper. Paget means people against gangsters and drugs. After the liberation, the white man started flooding South Africa with drugs. He had two things hit him hard: AIDS and drugs. And I told him, you cannot progress your society as long as drugs is eating it up. Now, Paget are friends of ours, but Paget are the middle class Muslims, right? And Paget was not as futuristic in their thinking. So Paget, when they would have, if it was a dope dealer in the neighborhood, Paget, in those days everybody still had guns from the rebellion. So they would march to the dope dealer's house and they'd tell him, you gotta stop selling drugs. And they would go back one time more, and then the third time it was all over. So one drug dealer, he was a Muslim, Rashid Staji. They hit him and they thought he was dead. They poured gasoline on him. I wish y'all could see that picture. They poured gasoline on him and lit him, and that boy stood up, and you ever see a monster walking and flaming like that, burning? That's the way Rashid Staji looked. So, they also had a program, I'll finish in a minute, but this is important. They had a program of, I was riding with the brothers one day. It was a guy, a young guy, had a bad blue Benz with a convertible top, blue on blue in blue. That means it was blue on top, blue inside, and blue on the bottom. You know, like black on black and black. White on white and white, or white on white and red, something like that. Anyway, you know that nigga talk. So this was a beautiful Benz. You know, one of them small ones, I mean, not expensive. So the Packard brother was taking my license, his guy's license plate. So why are you doing that? He said, well, he's too young to own that and da-da-da-da-da. I said, oh, okay. So when we got the house, the richer Muslims had come to me from all over South Africa. They said, Packard have threatened the principal of a school, and they had tried to blow him up twice. They were blowing people up. In fact, when I was there, they made a couple of mistakes and blew themselves up. But maybe they didn't blow him, maybe the boss man blew him up. But anyway, so I was talking to them, and they said, I said, hey man, could y'all kind of lighten up on Mr. Hussein? But he was bringing drugs into, I said, oh, when was he bringing drugs? He said, well, he give them to another guy. He was bringing them from India 15 years ago. I said, he's dealing drugs 15 years ago, and you're going to kill him now? I said, what has he done? Well, he's over the principal of the school, but I said, if you go back 15 years, they'd have to go back a little more for me. I said, you could burn me. Hey man, I was a drug dealer, you know, y'all got me over here speaking, you're happy to see me. But if you go back, add another few years on that, y'all may be aiming at the brother. So I started talking to him about Sharia. You got to have evidence, you got to have witnesses, you can't just burn people. I said, the other thing is, you scared all the people. I said, if you started a good program, People Against Gangsters and Drugs, Christians and everybody was with them. I said, but if you're gonna blow up everybody and kill all the people, I said, you know, revolutionaries, if you're gonna have a revolution, you have to have a place to hide. I said, now Packard sticks out. So I was telling them about revolution and all that. They you know,